Shanghai residents are protesting against lockdown measures. A fight even erupted at an Apple factory. Here's NTD's Don Ma.
A clash breaks out amid lockdowns between locals and Shanghai authorities. The clash on Thursday is at the Shanghai factory Quanta. Quanta makes devices for Apple like MacBooks. The factory workers are rebelling because they're fed up with Shanghai's lockdown measures. Amid Shanghai's lockdown, authorities are forcing workers to work, live, and sleep on site. Whether it's at factories or at office buildings, you're not allowed to go home. Essentially, Shanghai turned some workplaces into quarantine facilities. But Shanghai locals' protest may end up in vain, as Xi Jinping on Thursday told Chinese officials in an important meeting to unswervingly follow the zero-COVID policy. He told them to firmly oppose acts that goes against China's virus prevention policies. But what does that look like in practice? Here's a clip of what happened to a woman who went against virus prevention policies. She's being forcibly given a virus test. China's zero-COVID policy aims to get rid of every single virus case across the nation. It tries to achieve this through strict lockdowns and regular mass virus testing. China is currently setting up thousands of permanent virus testing stations. 9,000 are already completed in Shanghai. Authorities are seeking to normalize tough pandemic measures even after the current round of lockdowns end. But of course, Chinese residents are worried long-term measures could cause them a lot of pain.
But I also hope that the government can introduce some policies that will not affect the overall lives of citizens. After all, we have mortgages and car loans and are under pressure.
An estimate by Nomura, a Japanese finance holding company, shows the economic cost of China's zero-COVID policy, specifically the cost of mass virus testing. It says testing 70% of the population every 2 days would amount to 8.4% of China's GDP. That's equal to more than $1.3 trillion.
On Mother's Day in China, a Shanghai woman was forcibly separated from her son and taken into a quarantine facility. Came as Shanghai authorities tightened pandemic prevention measures in parts of the city. NTD's Don Ma has the story.
Authorities in Shanghai are again tightening virus restrictions, just as the city was emerging from a month-long lockdown. Notices issued to several districts declared that a complete lockdown will begin Monday. Residents are forbidden to leave home, even to go buy food. Authorities are also halting courier services. All non-essential deliveries will be suspended. As authorities announced lockdowns, they're also forcibly dragging Shanghai residents to quarantine facilities. Here's a clip. This happened over the weekend on Mother's Day. The woman is forcibly separated from her son and taken to a quarantine facility. The scene here is a rare sight in the West, but in China, it's commonplace. Here's another person being forcibly taken to a quarantine facility. So why are Chinese authorities doing this? Erping Zhang, Edward Mason Fellow at Harvard University and YouTube host of Tea with Erping, says it's because of Xi Jinping's decree of eliminating every virus case in China.
The zero-COVID policy comes from Beijing and from the Communist Party decision maker Xi Jinping. So the lower level officials must follow the decrees, otherwise they'll lose their jobs.
The responsibility of eliminating virus cases is passed down to local officials, and these officials have to report their results to their bosses.
The local officials, their primary concern is to report to the boss. They have zero cases in their districts or cities or neighborhoods. They don't care the suffering for the sufferings of the people, residents.
The reason why Chinese officials don't care about people's suffering is due to China's political system.
In China, these officials are not voted into office by the residents or citizens or the people in their district or cities. They are handpicked by the Communist Party, so that's why they only report to the boss. They don't have to report to the residents or the masses.
Any hopes that China will move away from its zero COVID policy were dashed, as Xi Jinping last Thursday told Chinese officials in an important meeting to unswervingly follow the policy.
American cybersecurity firm Cybereason reported last Wednesday that Chinese state-linked hackers have been trying to steal data from over 30 manufacturing and technology companies. The aim is to expand China's economy. The targeted companies are based in the U.S., Europe, and Asia. Cybereason CEO Lear Div told CBS News that the hackers target blueprints of fighter jets, helicopters, and missiles. In pharmaceuticals, they steal intellectual property of drugs, including ones that treat diabetes and depression. The firm discovered the hacking activities last year, which might have started 3 years ago and are still in process. CBS News said that a Chinese state-backed hacking group called APT41 has stolen trillions of dollars in intellectual property from these companies. APT41 launched CCP-backed espionage activities and serves the regime's Made in China 2025 plan. It's an ambitious plan to beat the U.S. and make sure China dominates the world economy by 2025. Last year, the U.S. Justice Department charged 4 Chinese nationals associated with APT41. They had hacked into computers to steal intellectual property and business data. FBI Director Christopher Wray said recently that China has a bigger hacking program than that of every other major nation combined. And their biggest target is, of course, the United States. Cybereason said that in the U.S., the loss caused by hacking is in the trillions, not billions, and that the real impact cannot be seen until 5 to 10 years later. A new report says freedom of the press in Russia has deteriorated since the Ukraine invasion. The World Press Freedom Index, launched on Tuesday, ranks press freedoms by country and also highlights Hong Kong as a place where media freedoms have plummeted. NTD's Jane Worrell brings us this report.
This year's World Press Freedom Index says freedom of the media in Hong Kong has plummeted. With independent news outlets like Apple Daily and Stand News being forced to close, some readers feel they have nowhere to go.
Without the 3 major independent media that have been shut down, there's a huge loss of interest in the news itself, because they usually go to these platforms to read the daily digest of the news. You can read from politics, economy to entertainment and all that on one platform, or they like whatever platform they like. But now they don't have that choice.
This year, the index finds press freedom very bad in a record 28 countries. The 10 worst countries include Myanmar, China, Eritrea and North Korea at 180th. As for the top spots, the report lists Nordic countries Norway, Denmark and Sweden. The UK ranks 24th, just above Trinidad and Tobago and below Namibia. Jane Worrell, NTD News, London.